All right, Taurus. So, first of all, you have the web weaver. Synchronicity, divine intelligence, and cause and effect, but then you have fork in the road. Now, the web weaver did show up as a challenge for you. And I think that a lot of you are at a place right now where you're like waiting for a sign, but every sign that comes to you, you're questioning it. So you're not trusting in the divine intelligence. And when you're looking at fork in the road, you realize that you have a responsibility here to choose a course or a path, a course of action or a path. You're going to have to. But I think a lot of you are looking at the fork in the road going, I need a sign. Was that a sign? I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking things. And that may be stopping you from, looking at a course of action and going, what could I experience? Instead of looking at the worst that could possibly happen, look at, okay, if I choose this path, how is that going to enrich my experience? But I think a lot of you are like not wanting to make a choice right now or to take a certain path because you're questioning everything that's being shown to you. So like if you're constantly seeing 1111 or, 333 or things like that, or a certain sequence of numbers, you may be looking at it going, yeah, that's great, but I don't know what the hell you're trying to tell me, and questioning every kind of sign. Instead of looking for signs, like I said, I think you need to focus on what the experience is going to bring you, right? And I think it's interesting when you look at what you guys pulled in Moonology. So look at the bigger picture, the full moon in Sagittarius, which is coming up. Now this one says, take time out for a mini break or an adventure. Go do something that is going to bring some excitement and fun to you, because maybe it may change your perspective on a choice that you're going to make or a path that you have to take, right? So it says that this situation may have come around because you've been distracted. It says, be confident without being overconfident to win the day. Have you shown that you care? If not, now is the time. And find balance between speaking your mind and saying too much. But you need to look at the bigger picture, and I think in more of a positive way, instead of questioning everything that is coming to you that you think is a sign, but you're not sure what it means, and I don't know. And, that's kind of what I feel looking at that, because there's no guarantee. And I think that that may be the biggest problem, right? Oh, and you guys aren't the only one. The devil is the overall. So we're talking about vices, addictions, negative things, unhealthy attachments, right? But, the other thing with the devil is a lot of times the reason why we stay in negative situations is because it's comfortable. It's what we know. But with this being the overall, I think a lot of you are going to be forced to look at where the negativity is in your life right now. And I hate that this is connected to Capricorn. But I don't think it's about a Capricorn. For some of you, yeah, it probably is. But again, the devil is going to be about something that is negative in your life. Are you getting past it, or are you still dealing with it right now? In the past, the Chariot. Now, for some of you in the past, because we're looking at the devil as the overall, and you're talking about fork in the road, it's you being pulled in two different directions. I want to go this way, but I'm still attached to this, even though I know it's a bad thing. Now, for some of you, absolutely, it could be that you made a really big move, but we need to look at where the negativity is coming from. But I think that right now, some of you are needing to get, control, right? Willpower and self-control, so that momentum can start going forward, rather than being at the crossroads going, well, where do I go? Wow, and there you are. The Hierophant for me, I love it because there's so much to it. But I go back to, the idea of the Hierophant ruling the fives, and the fives being all the shitty shit that we go through, right? All the horrible stuff that we have to face, the changes that we don't want to deal with. But the Hierophant is about bringing spirituality down to earth in a way that we can apply it in a practical way in our lives to create spiritual well-being and understanding, having knowledge of why and acceptance. But it's interesting to me, right? The Hierophant and the devil. Now, for some of you, straight up, it's going to be about A commitment that you have made that maybe is not going so well, that you may want to pull out of. And that may be because you went too quickly with the Chariot and didn't really know where you were going or where you were heading, which is possible. But then you talk about traditional values here with the Hierophant, you know. So then with the Devil being the overall, is this you saying to yourself that I have to stay with this now, I have to commit to it because it is the right thing to do, right? But who dictates what's right and what's wrong? Are you doing that, or are you allowing someone else or society to do that, right? But you've got Cap, you've got Cancer coming through. But this is a really big thing that's going to be happening for a lot of you right now. Oh my God. It's Taurus this time. We're going to have all majors. The Sun in future conditions. The Sun needs to be shown on the Devil. The Devil needs to be brought out into the light, and we need to get rid of it. So you're going to be shown the negative things that have been happening. Now, if you decide to break a commitment towards something that has gone in a really bad direction, the Sun would be suggesting that, you know, new life is going to be coming to you, right? Like I always say with this one, I feel protection, especially with the Hierophant being there. You're going to be fine. Everything's going to be okay. But you need to see the Devil for what it is. Whether that's a person, whether you got caught up with a commitment with a job that really sucks ass, but you do it because you have to, or you think that you have to, and you really went like a huge distance to do this. Now, if we're talking about relationship, you may be connected with somebody here that you know it's not a healthy situation, and you may be at a distance here, but you know, it's a question of whether or not somebody is sticking to the commitment that you may have made with each other. You know, but the Sun, again, that being in future conditions, you're going to be shown the Devil in a really big way. But it's in order to protect you and to make things better, right? Your best path to follow, the Four of Wands. I look at that and I think that, you know, you need to make sure that you maintain stability in your life, absolutely. But we're also talking about, you know, an accomplishment here. Now, for some of you, if you are getting past the Devil and you're getting past any kind of negativity in your life, the things that you may have been addicted to, so on and so forth, the Four of Wands is saying, look, you've reached a milestone. Celebrate that. You know, I see it as a good thing because of the Sun being there. But I also look at this and think, don't make a commitment to something that you know is not going to be stable in your life. You know, wow, man. Oh, yeah, okay. The Two of Cups in your environment. So yeah, for some of you, it will be about a relationship with someone in particular. Now, the Two of Cups, again, it doesn't have to be romantic, but you're talking about the emotional connection between two people. And there may have been a big commitment that was made. Some of you may have gone so far as to, like, go to Vegas and get married. Like, seriously, right? And with the Sun, it's like, maybe that wasn't the right thing to do, you know? But I look at this as, you know, a big commitment that we're making with a partnership, you know, and wanting somebody to uphold that. Now, if they're at a distance from you, I think that the question is whether or not they're actually doing that, you know. And do you want to continue to build a life with something that is not stable and not secure and not good, you know? Okay, your hopes and your fears, the Wheel of Fortune, and that's just straight up, I hope that, you know, things are going in a better direction, that we're not repeating the same thing over again, right? Because you could be up, you could be down here. But I look at that as the fear being, especially with the Devil being the overall, that we're talking about something that's just going to repeat itself, you know. And I think that going back to the Oracle cards, you may be looking for, you know, the sign from the higher source to let you know where you need to go now. You may have, you know, gone really quickly into this situation, but it doesn't mean that you need to go back if you so choose to see the truth and get stability in your life away from this partnership, which can be the case. Now, it could, though, be that we're talking about somebody who is trying to, you know, have that come to Jesus moment, right? Like you could be dealing with somebody that has had a lot of negativity in their life and has been doing a lot of negative things. And it's like, okay, I need purity now. I need to get this out of my life. And with the sun, it may be a really good thing here, and it may strengthen a partnership. Absolutely. So, you know, it just depends on how your situation is going here. But the wheel, right? Like you could be up, you could be down. But we don't want to repeat the negativity. And then coming out the Seven of Wands. I look at that and I think it's not so much about fighting off opposition. I think fighting off what has had a negative hold on you in a relationship. But I also think that this is something worth fighting for, if that makes sense. You know, and not only that, but helping somebody to stand up for themselves, which could absolutely be the case. You cannot fall back into these negative patterns. We need to look at it now. You need to see it and you need to fight it. That's kind of how I see that. Wow, yeah, we can't go back to how things were, but I'm not looking at a 10 here, except for the wheel. But that's hopes and fears. Death is a little bit different. And again, it goes back to stability, right? So the Five of Pentacles, you're talking about feeling empty-handed, feeling completely drained, feeling like you have nothing left to give, going, you know, a great distance here for possibly a relationship that left you in a place of, you know, not having anything. But then I also look at this and I think that, you know, if you are at a distance from somebody, they're not letting you in on what's really going on in their life, or that may have been the case in the past, and that may have caused problems between you and a person. Again, whether it's romantic or family relationship, friend relationship, you know how that goes. The Nine of Wands. Then you move into this place of, I don't want to be put through that again. I don't want to have to go through these same kinds of fights in needing to protect myself. I've been put through enough here. I'm not going to allow this to come back through. So I don't see it as paranoia. I see it as you're seeing it happening again, but you're not giving up though either. But you're at a place where there's only so much more that you can take. And I think that that's what you might be making clear here with the Seven of Wands. And then with death, nope. It's done and it's over with. We are not going back to how things were. Things need to change in a really big way. But it's all in order for the sun to bring, you know, new life to this. So I don't see death as it's done and over with, because you wouldn't still be fighting for it if it was. It's the devil that needs to be done and over with. Dead. We're burying it now. We can't go back to how things were. It's not happening. You have to change. And that's it. That's end of story. You know, but I like the fact that the sun is kind of like shining on all of this, you know, so it may be that it's either you or the person that you're dealing with here is finally seeing the truth and seeing the light of, you know, the gravity of this situation, you know, but I still see it, especially with that Nine of Wands, being something worth fighting for, you know. And then I go back to the Oracle cards and I think, if there is love in a connection there with the Two of Cups, you could be looking at, I need a sign. I need a sign to let me know if I continue on this path, if it can be saved, if things will change, or do I need to go in a different direction? But nothing here is indicating that you should go somewhere else. But I say that in a way where I'm not trying to tell you that you need to do this. But it has to be on whether or not something is going to change and whether somebody is going to see the light of the situation, right? So don't ever put your life on hold for somebody else, for sure. But if you feel like this is something worth fighting for, then, you know, maybe that's your sign that you need to be persistent here, because maybe change is possible. And then wisdom, and that's good, right? So a new path is going to emerge for you in terms of a relationship or a connection with somebody where you and them are both going to be emerging. There's going to be a part of you emerging here through wisdom and understanding. So it's good. So if you're looking at a path right now, the path that is emerging is going to bring the both of you out in such a way where we have gained some wisdom and some experience through this, and that is what's going to carry you forward. And then act as if your partner is here, and then there you go with the distance, right? For some of you who are in long distance relationships, whether you have someone in your life or not, act as if they are with you, so you will always consider them. But, you know, even if they're dealing with something that is not really like intentional in terms of trying to break up the relationship, maybe it's something else that's just negative in their life that they need your help with. But I think that for you, this is not something we can go through again, you know, with the wheel being there, especially with death coming out in the Seven of Wands, because, you know, besides fighting for something, this is, you know, like I've always said, drawing the line in the sand. This is the shit that I won't deal with anymore. This is what I won't accept. But it's important for you to treasure this person if there is a love for them, because whether you're in a relationship with them in a romantic way or not, or if it's just somebody who's very close to you, there is an emotional connection. You know, there is some kind of love there, right? But act as if they are with you. When you do that and you act like the right version of them is with you, maybe that will help them start creating that, right? But yeah, Taurus, I think that a lot of you may be questioning on whether this is the right thing to do or not. And I get it. I do. But I don't think that this is something that you want to have come to this kind of end. But there's definitely something that needs to be done, dead, buried, over with, so that change can happen in a much, much, much more positive way.